Pasha sleeps and then weeps. Pasha, the yellow-bellied snake, was quite sad. Unlike many other snakes, he was not mean or rude, nor was he poisonous, which meant that no one was scared of Pasha in the forest, not even the littlest of baby rabbits or the slowest of rickety-legged old frogs. But Pasha was not sad because he was not fearful. He was sad that he couldn't catch any food. Of course, this was also because of the fact that Pasha was a very lazy snake. Even if his friends invited him to hunt or harvest with them, he refused to go along. He just did not want to get out of his cozy little mud home beside the roots of the shady teak tree. He loved to coil up and snooze, dreaming of the mouth-watering treats his mama would get for him to gobble when he was just a wee baby snake, just as big as a wriggly worm. Oh, how his mouth watered, remembering the yummy fresh eggs and the sweet soft mushrooms. He would really love to gulp down some of those now. But who would get them for him? Pasha sighed as his tummy growled, sounding a little like Shamsher the lion. He knew that unless he got off his coils and went out in search of food, he would have to go hungry.
Well, I guess a little fresh air will do some good to my skin,
thought Pasha as he reluctantly slithered out of the mossy warmth of his hole into the brightness of the afternoon sun. The morning dew had long dried, and the grass of the forest floor crackled crisply as Pasha idly snaked through it. He yawned wide, already missing his underground home, wondering when he would get back to his nap. Thinking of it itself made his eyes droop halfway down in sleep. But then, suddenly, boom! Pasha bumped his head on something big. Rubbing his throbbing head where it hurt, Pasha took a closer look at what lay in his path. It was a small pot of milk. Pasha grinned wide, not able to believe his luck. Coiling his tail carefully around the pot, Pasha lifted the pot and headed for his home. Once back inside, Pasha slumped tiredly as he rested the pot of milk against a mud wall. Phew! Heaving that pot had been hard work, and Pasha was not used to hard work, not in the least. He wanted to sip the creamy white milk, but then again, maybe he just ought to rest a little, for then he could enjoy its frothy, buttery taste even better. Pasha leaned against his mossy pillow, smiling at his find, knowing that he wouldn't have to worry about food for more than a couple of days now. Wouldn't his friends be quite jealous when they found out, especially Montu the monkey and the baby monkeys in his pack? Come to think of it, as the pot had so much milk, Pasha could offer some of it to the pack of monkeys in exchange for fresh fruits. Montu and his friends were very good climbers and could get Pasha the sweetest and ripest of the forest bounty. Pasha would then set up a shop right outside his little hole, trading the delicious fruits for juicy nuts, beautiful pebbles to adorn burrows and nests, and choicest roots and vegetables. Soon, his shop would have the best treasures the forest could offer, and animals would flock to him to trade and buy his wares. He would grow popular, and they would start liking him and respecting him. Then one day, they would all decide that he, Pasha, should be king of the forest. Even Big Bro, the bullying elephant, will bow down to Pasha and beg him to rule over the animals. Pasha would then be escorted on a splendid palanquin carved of birch and wreathed in sweet-smelling lavender flowers to the center of the jungle as the cuckoos and nightingales sung his praises. The tigers, cheetahs, elephants and foxes would kneel with their heads bowed as Pasha slithered towards his gleaming bright throne. He would smile graciously as the crown was placed on his head and not get irritated at the angry growls of Shamsher, who would no longer be king. Louder and louder, like a spoiled cub, he would stamp his paws and claw the ground, demanding that the crown be returned to him. Pasha would try to be calm and mild, but Shamsher would not listen and get angrier and angrier. The other animals would try to take Shamsher away, but the rowdy lion would not budge. And then Shamsher stubbornly would try to snatch the crown of Pasha's head. Pasha would be stern and ask him to stay away, but Shamsher would keep coming, grabbing at Pasha's crown again and again, till Pasha would lose his temper.
Stay back, I said
Pasha, as he lashed his tail out hard. Thwack! A sound cracked into his thoughts, and Pasha sat up with a jerk, realizing that he had dozed off and had been dreaming. But what had been that sound? Frothy white milk flowed onto the muddy earth, seeping and disappearing fast into it, leaving but a sticky wet patch behind. All too late, Pasha realized that instead of Shamsher, his tail had lashed out at his precious pot of milk and smashed it to pieces, smashing also his dream.
Oh no, I will never become a king now,
Cried Pasha, big blobs of his tears rolling down his cheeks.
and I am still hungry.
Poor Pasha, too much sleep, and now he weeps.